Alrighty, we've got the first of four matches for the Dominion World Cup Finals between the USA's A team and Japan's A team. Fircoal representing the US, Kojii for Japan. Uh, Winner of the match is whoever wins the majority of the matches. I'm not exactly sure what happens if it's a 2-2 tie. I assume that the first tiebreaker is probably game wins, and if it's still tied, who's to say? Probably the rules, but I don't know what they say about that. So, as an impartial spectator, Fearcool better win this one. Let's take a look. So for draw, there's stables. There's the spirits that you can get off of Exorcist. I think that's it. For villages, Rustic Village and Wealthy Village, although there's not too many terminal action cards you need to be playing here. Jester is terminal, and Kitsune can be terminal depending on what choices you make. If there's a squeaky noise behind me, that's a dog who really likes his ball. For trashing, there's Rope, Exorcist, Church. Chaos? Chaos, you might need to exit. Come on. Good job. Dog has been banished. And then plus buy. There's none in the. Oh no, Rope is in the kingdom. Rope is plus buy. I was going to say there's none in the kingdom, but you can gain loots off of Wealthy Village. Probably that's the more desirable plus buy source. Rope is a great card, but it's only plus buy every other turn because it stays out of play. So you don't want to count that as your only buy. How to open here. Church Exorcist jumps up to me. Both players opt for an early Rope. I think that would have been third on my list of fours. Ironworks to gain ropes would also have looked quite nice. Let's see. And then getting straight to the Kitsunes. Cursing is not the biggest deal ever in this kingdom. There's plenty of trashing. You're not going to be stuck with the curses. But it's still probably worth doing. I mean, Kitsune is just in general a strong card. It still has a lot of value even after the curses run out as a village and money and a silver gainer if you want that. And even if your opponent can trash the curses as they come in, it's still essentially making a waste. Like even if they trash the curse the first time they see it, they've wasted a draw, having to draw the curse and then trash it with a rope or church or whatever when they could have been drawing another card. And so the attack is still pretty meaningful. Kitsune is also especially annoying with progress. Progress activates once in total two players have played Kitsune and or Rustic Village 5 times. And then whatever you gain goes to the top of your deck. And that means the curses also get top decked, which is especially painful. Hmm. Progress can often be more of a hindrance than a help. When you're buying nice stuff, it's often good to top deck it, but the curses hurt. And also in the end game, you have to watch out for like if you have a turn where you hit 24 and buy 3 provinces, you just top deck 3 provinces for next turn, and you're probably dunning. And so you either need to win in one turn and a single fell swoop, and then not care about what you top decked, or else your buys often look a lot more like buy 1 province and then a stables to give you draw for the next turn, so the province doesn't cause you to dud, and then you're buying like a province plus some additional stuff each time. Who's in the lead here? Fircoal trashes 2 estates and gets a Kitsune on the first reshuffle. Kojii gets a Kitsune, trashes 1 estate. So it seems like Fircoal had the slightly better reshuffle. They got to trash twice. I think the turn 3 rope would look excellent, hitting 5, buying Kitsune, getting the rope in play, if Kojii hadn't had their church as the very last card in their deck and not gotten to set thing aside. Though judging by the scores, it seems like okay now they're reversed. I was going to say Fircoal has more curses in the deck. That has just as of now changed. Brutal progress indeed. Fircoal takes an Ironworks. I assume the main goal of that Ironworks is to gain more ropes. Probably want to make sure not to trash your last copper immediately. Loots look pretty good, and copper plus ropes plus silvers that you can gain for free off of Kitsune are the simplest path to 3 treasures. Stables will also be good. Fortunately for Fearful, they have a rope in play because those curses are about to hit the top. Progresses have been activated. Tias is also an omen. Not that that's significant, but I forgot to list it a moment ago. There's 3 cards that give omens in this kingdom, which is actually that's quite a lot. The kingdom is full random. There's no expansion restrictions or anything, and we see 3 of the I don't know how many, like 7 or 8 omen cards total in Rising Sun in this kingdom. Did I ever show the kingdom view? If I didn't, now I have. I cannot recall. Koji's thinking hard about something here.
Mind if I join you?
Oh, hey, you're here.
Commentary? Yeah,
Yeah.
I've just finished my food.
We're still in
Yeah,
game 1.
Kitsune progress game. Is there anything more to say?
Yeah. There's at least a lot of trashing here, so hopefully that doesn't decide the game. I had just mentioned that progress with Kitsune is especially nasty. Koji here, for
Yeah,
example, is about to draw into a bunch of curses.
so you definitely want all the ropes as much as you can get, I would say. And while you're picking it up with Ironworks, I would say gain a lot of stables.
Yeah,
And then maybe shift into Wealthy Village.
that all sounds correct.
Not sure how strong Tea House is on this board.
I could certainly imagine gaining Tea House. It does not seem like a priority. Like Wealthy Village is adding a village, which you don't really need the village effect all that much because there's very few terminals to play. But it's adding a loot, which is 3 money and a buy. If you have enough buys already, perhaps you'd rather Tea House, which is 2 coins, no buy, but it has +1 card on it, which makes it easier on the deck.
Yeah, I think you got to be careful here with the Wealthy Villages.
Yeah, probably you're not gaining Tea House early because if you don't have 3 treasures, like for example, if you're actually no, Fircoal does have a rope and blade. They could gain a wealthy village here if they want to. I'm not sure if that's correct or not. It's either wealthy village or stables. I was gonna say even if you don't have 3 treasures in play, stables is probably gonna be the better gain on 5.
Are you said about no exorcists being gained? Or
I thought it looked like a good open. They did not concur. And if you're
yeah, but
trashing
like
your estates, then Exorcist is not so hot at trashing coppers. You don't gain anything off of that. I mean, potentially late in the game, this could still be good as a source of imps for draw. Like you're going to have a bunch of wealthy villages, so the actions aren't even a constraint, even if you don't have a good target for the imp to play. And so imps are just like laboratories. So I would not mind Exorcist turning extra silvers into labs. I could imagine that coming up.
Yeah, for sure.
Like otherwise, you're stuck with just the one pile of stables. It might end up being the case though. Like curse is already empty, rope is already low. They have a bunch of plus buy. It's possible that by the time that stables would be empty and you would start really wanting a backup source of draw, probably scoring just ends up being more pressing.
Yeah, I can
Sword
see
is a
this
great
being a
first loot.
single province game.
Sorry, what was that?
Doubles. A double seems pretty hard on this board, I think.
I suspect we'll
It
see
should be doable.
some early piles running. All right, Fircoal's got the deck
Fircoal,
mostly under control.
yeah.
But it appears Kojii is up 3-1 on stables. Yeah.
This will be double five, like stables wealthy. Seems good here.
Yeah, that's what I would probably expect. If you're adding Wealthy Village, you're adding a loot as well. You've got one less rope in play this turn as compared to last turn, so you probably do need to add a stables rather than two loots. But just thinking hard about what to discard. I would think probably doesn't matter all that much, but one reflex, I would just click Ironmonger or Ironworks rather.
Ironworks, yeah.
The copper is the target for the stables. Ironworks is the least valuable of the remaining cards.
Do you think sword does any major damage here? I think it's the best loot for sure on this board, I would say.
Let's see. Sword is for sure one of the better loots. Draw is a little bit limited, and I would think about Sword as being like -1 stables for the opponent. Because you're reducing their hand size
Yeah.
by one, stables would increase their hand size by one. They need one extra stables in their deck to draw back around to whatever card they discarded. Are there better loots? Prize Goat, not that important with rope around. Staff, not important here with no important terminal actions to play. I think Figurehead and Endless Chalice both look good to
Figurehead,
me.
yeah.
Chalice is
Akuchi loot.
either a loot that you don't need to draw or a loot that does give you draw. Um, yeah, probably in some order, Figurehead, Sword, and Chalice would be the ones I want the most.
I must probably also find.
Yeah, well, Hammer certainly was good before the rope's empty. Look at the state of the game.
Maybe you're shifting into Exorcist now with the hammer?
One can hope.
But this is why I really hate Kitsune. It just, when the curses are gone, it just clogs up your deck and you're not gaining a lot of, you're not like really getting advantage of this card.
Yeah, this is a kingdom where there is danger in taking too many silvers. You want to be drawing consistently, and obviously you want some number of treasures for the stables, but too many silvers means your deck starts to fall apart. So, and you don't need the actions very much. So I'd say Kitsune here is basically just like 2 extra copies of silver for most intents and purposes, which is not the worst thing in the world, but is not high priority. You're mostly getting them for the early cursing. Yeah, I don't know. Exorcist still looks good to me. I would not be unhappy to turn even the Kitsune, for example, into an imp or a ghost.
Yeah.
Hmm. Kojii hits 10, gains doubloons. That's all right here. Doubloons can be a very sad loot in kingdoms where you really need the plus buy. Here, you have other sources of plus buy, and you've got plenty of chances to get loot.
Yeah, the balloons is definitely fine here.
Fircoal still struggling to draw a little bit. The loot seem to have chosen who they want to win. Yeah, I would say Fircoal has had the better pull of the loot so far. Though this draw is less than inspiring, and Kojii has a nice starting hand, so we shall see. It's
Why
not.
did we gain an estate here?
You're asking a good question. Uh, I have to imagine Fircoal thought that they were going to be able to draw an extra card because like they have something of a dud here. They didn't find all their stables, and so I think there's like gaining a desperation estate in order to draw an extra card. But the stables, or not the stables, the estate top decks itself before you draw, and then you just draw the estate off the top.
Not a church.
Third church. I confess I don't understand what that church is doing. I think that might have been a minor mistake. Maybe it doesn't matter, or maybe this is better. So Koji played the Wealthy Village first to trigger a shuffle, which, for the purposes of discarding copper, is a good thing because it means this copper is now missing the shuffle. But you have a bunch of stables that you want to play, and so I would have thought maybe you play stables first, discard, say, your doubloons, then that gets back into the shuffle. Then you can discard the coppers after you've triggered the shuffle, and then the coppers miss the shuffle, but other treasures you're discarding don't.
Yeah, I would not have considered that, but that seems reasonable. Yeah.
I don't think I mentioned this yet, but I think an Exorcist would look really nice in these decks. Would love
Yeah, I
turning
would really love an exorcist too.
the Kitsunes into draw cards. Ghost would not be bad. You can line
Imp
up
is
whichever
better than
card you.
Ghost here, I would say.
Yeah, Imp could easily be better than Ghost. It's draw
Yeah.
immediately, and draw is the main thing you want. Ghost is draw of a sort, um, because you're playing a card for free off the top of your deck an extra time. And so you can think about it. Ghost is also being plus one card, but it's like a delayed plus one card. Ghost tends to be good for the A, it's a village, and then B, you're double playing something. But you might just want the immediate draw of Imp, and the Imp being every turn is good. Um, what was I about to say? But you can line up your Ghost target because you get to
Yeah.
choose which card is top deck, or rather, you just buy cards whichever order you want, and then guarantee what Ghost hits. For example, if you had like 13 and you wanted to buy Province and Stables, actually the better order would be buy Stables first and then Province, because Ghost will skip past the Province, discard it from the top of your deck, and then hit the Stables, and then getting that Province off the top.
Yeah. So maybe Ghost doesn't suck here actually, but I think in general it's a pretty bad bad reward, I would say, for trashing an expensive card.
Yeah. Um, the best time to do that, I would think, and maybe they just aren't drawing quite enough, but like what you'd really want to do is play Ironworks, gain Exorcist to the top of your deck, and then play Stables and draw into it, and then you can play Exo on the same turn that you gained it. But they're not quite overdrawing, and they're never playing the Ironworks before their final Stables, which might be right. Like maybe they just need to draw into the other stuff that's higher priority. It is possible the ship is sealed. I mean, piles are fairly low. Rope is at 2 and can be gained by either Ironworks or Hammer. Stables is at 3. Church is at 5. So piles are real risk. I think Exo in the opening looked good. I think Exo also could have been quite good right around the time that the curse is empty. Because then, I mean, obviously you can trash curse as well, but Kitsune starts to look like a good target. Might just be time to trash the Ironworks. Ironworks is in some ways a liability, obviously. It's not a treasure, so you can't discard it as stables. You can play it for +1 coin by gaining a rope or something, but that's just like a terminal copper. The upside of Ironworks is it gains ropes easily, which helps you threaten a pile out. That might not be worth it. Exorcist killing Kitsune and Silvers sounds great a few turns ago. Concur wholeheartedly. Quite the underrated card.
So are you provincing here? I think so, yeah.
Province and a stables. I think that makes sense.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I still don't really understand that estate. I think the estate was just a mistake. That is my hypothesis. They didn't think about how it would interact with progress. Picking up rustic villages. Ideally speaking, rustic village isn't doing anything for you because you don't need the actions, and it's otherwise just a cantrip. In theory, at least, you'd rather have a few rustic villages in the deck than not, because maybe in a particularly bad hand, you can pitch 2 cards to draw on. If churches weren't around, I would say rustic village late in the game just looks like a laboratory because you could pitch 2 provinces to draw on. Obviously, with church around, you'd rather ideally keep those provinces in hand and set them aside. But I would be down to take some rustic villages if you no longer have other good ironworks targets. Setting a rope aside is interesting. I didn't see the exact context. I'm assuming it was I have an exact number that I want to hit. I've got 1 more money than I needed to hit that exact number, and so I'm setting aside a rope till next turn, and then I'll get the 1 extra money next turn and the draw in 2 turns. That's my guess. Okay. Still don't have enough draw to gain an exorcist, tragically. Uh, yeah, the ship's probably still on that by this point. So, is there a win? I doubt it, but it's worth checking. Ironworks can gain a rope. Hammer can gain a rope. Then the number you need to win is 16 and 4 buys. Maybe that's doable. So we got 3, 6, 8, 9, 10 with the ironworks. 11, 12, 13. This actually might be a win. So play both Kitsune for 2 money each. Ironworks, they might be going for a slightly different win, but I think Fircoal might have 2 duchies and an estate on the mind. I was considering province annex. This should probably win either way. I haven't counted up this version yet. but Province Double Stable Annex looked winning. Even if you were going for the estate line, I would have thought Ironworks getting rope looks a lot better. Did I say the wrong number a second ago? I said 16, didn't I? So maybe it was a coin short? I think I said 16 and counted 17. So maybe we were a coin short of the thing that I was contemplating. So I'd been imagining Ironworks gains rope, Hammer gains rope, buy 2 stables, 1 province, and annex, which is like a free duchy on the final turn because you don't have to pay off the debt. And they had 4 money from Kitsune, 1 money from Ironworks, that's 5. 11 with the 2 loots, 13 with the silver, 16 with the rope, 17 with the copper. Yeah, I think it was 17 money. So I think they were 1 coin short of the win that I was envisioning. The other possibility could have been buying Duchy Estate. I think that also wins, though, right? The Duchy Estate line costs 1 less, but takes 1 more buy. Um, I hadn't looked at 6x Estate. Do they have enough gains for that? I'm suspicious that there was a win there. So another option would have been gain 2 ropes, then buy 2 stables, 1 duchy, 1 estate, and then annex, which would also score you 7 points. And that would be enough for a win. And then double stables, duchy, estate only costs 17. That requires 1 more buy than the province line, but they had 5 buys between the sword and the 3 ropes. Um, I think that was a win.
This would for sure be interesting if someone would check it later.
Yeah, it'd be lovely to
I
verify.
didn't see a win there.
But I think 2 ropes, 2 stables, duchy, estate, annex was winning. And then the estate line, what's the third pile? I assume still ropes. So if Hammer gains a rope, Ironworks gains a rope. Um, they had 5 buys. Was there a 6 buy that I'm not accounting for?
3 ropes, 1 sword, and
It's hard to say without seeing the hand anymore. I recall them having 5 buys at least because they had 3 ropes, the sword, and their normal buy. And it would take 1 more buy to do ropes and estates. Maybe there's one that I'm not accounting for. And yes, I think just emptying the estates would be a losing tie unless you had an, a 7th buy to also buy annex alongside it. I don't think there's a way for them to
can
gain
Kojii
and
win?
play the rope. Sorry, what was that?
Can Kojii win here?
Let's hope not. Um. So what's a win look like for Koji? An estate pileout would do it because they're only behind by 4 points. That would require 7 gains though, and I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 total gains, which is still decently short. What are those bottom 2 cards? Do they have another plus buy card down there? Like if there's another rope or
You
something,
got the
then
doubloons.
yeah. So the doubloons won't make them extra buys. I was thinking like Ironworks gaining a rope to the top of your deck, followed by playing stables, drawing that rope gets you 1 extra buy. But then I think that's still 1 buy short of the estates, and I haven't counted the money either. They might also be short on coins. Uh, other possible wins. I think aside from piling estates, the cheapest win would be 2 ropes, 2 stables, 2 estates and an annex. Ironworks gains a rope, then you still have to hit 10, 14, 18 money. That looks not doable. I'm going to say there's no win here, I think. What else in their discard? They've they no, they've discarded copper, copper, and gold. So the discard has treasure, but no extra buys or anything. So rope left in the deck. That would be relevant information. Okay, so this should be enough gains to win. Might be short on money. Let's see. Those bottom 3 cards allegedly have 2 ropes and a doubloons. So if you pitch the copper, you're going to see 4 total ropes, which is 4 money, doubloons and staff, which is 10 money, plus 3 money, 13, plus the Kitsune is 15. And then you need to buy rope and 5 estates, which is 14. Uh-oh. Sounds like it might be a win. It was not the doubloons. Where's the doubloons? Did they discard the doubloons earlier in the turn? Oh, I missed the doubloons discard. It was, in fact, silver rope and wealthy village. Okay, looks like we were operating on some faulty intel. They did not have another rope down there, which I think means they cannot pile out, because now they've got 4, 5 total buys, and they need 6 to win. So as Kojii here, I think you're just trying to maximize your score to avoid a pile out. I don't. You might even need to buy Annex. Annex looks kind of nasty here because you're just buying a duchy for 8 points. And that's great on the very last turn of the game, but it's bad on any other turn. But with piles being as low as they are, I don't know if you want to count on your opponent missing 14. Fircoal has 3 ropes in play and 4 cards set aside.
Maybe, maybe Kojii can assume that Fircoal could potentially dot here with the top decked green.
Yeah,
I'd say,
so
but
Fircoal's gains weren't great. They know that you got 2 victory cards on top, but you also top decked a rustic village. But you also have 8 extra cards of draw, or 7 extra cards of draw coming in. So it's kind of hard to count too hard on a dud. I think most likely you're just lost here. Well, that's a whole lot of not stables. We bottom decked a lot of draw. What? How many stables does Fircoal have?
only 3.
3, and they're all in the bottom
Two.
6. That's pretty painful. Well,
Yeah.
maybe this isn't a win. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gains. Is 1 gain short of the estate rope pile out? Is it enough money for the stables pile out? Yeah, this will just be a win on rope and... No, it's not a win on rope and stables because Fircoal doesn't have the points lead anymore. Oh my. So to win on rope
15
plus
points.
stables, you also need to buy a duchy and have an extra buy to buy annex after that. Wow, that's a terrible draw.
But this looks like a win. No, it doesn't. You need the 2 stables, yeah.
Yeah, so if Ironworks, let's think about this. Ironworks gains a rope, and then let's say Hammer gains a state. Then you have 6, 7, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 money. That might be enough money.
16.
Do you have enough buys? The trouble is you
Buys.
need to buy 2 stables, duchy, and annex, and I think that's only 3 buys, isn't it?
It would be kind of cool if you can trigger your Ironworks gain your card first before the progress. Because most
Yeah.
of the times you can trigger such effects earlier than.
Yeah, unfortunately, the way it works is Ironworks is gain a card costing up to 4, period. So any on gain effects would trigger after that first sentence. Then you do the rest of Ironworks. So you're forced to top deck first and then draw the card. Oh, did we find something? This doesn't do it, Fircoal. What are you doing? Someone miscounted.
I don't know if that was really necessary to do here. I think you
I
could
think
have.
Fircoal miscounted somewhere.
Hopefully, they get the undo here. Would be reasonable.
All the way back to the Ironworks. Okay. Yeah, the buys are a nuisance here. I think they probably saw the line I was talking about a second ago, which is rope 2 stables Duchy Annex, and just assumed they had enough buys for it and forgot. Again, a silver. That's probably correct with as many stables as they have down there. Hmm. I think that gaining a treasure, probably a silver rather than a rope, off of Ironworks looked better here. The difference between 15 and 16 is pretty big. I'd rather just buy 2 provinces. Yeah, this looks worse. So Province Duchy Annex is scoring you as many points as double province, but it's putting you in 6 debt, which is pretty bad at this stage of the game. Uh, Kojii also duds. Yeah, these decks are getting pretty bad pretty fast. That can happen late in a game when your main draw is stables, because early in the game you want to pitch your treasures, draw into your other action cards, and then draw back around to those treasures. Late in the game, once your deck starts getting greener, you have the problem that stables is pitching the cards you wanted to find, which are your treasures, and is drawing you a handful of victory cards every time.
Annex shuffles your deck. So does Annex completely reorder the cards in your deck, or
Yeah, like if you were to top deck a bunch of bad stuff with progress and then buy Annex, your deck would be shuffled, so at least whatever you gain would not be on the very top. Okay. There's only 3 estates and a rope left, and Fircoal cannot do a whole lot about it with 6 debt. So they can
you
make
want to set aside?
2 money
Yeah.
if they so desire. Um, I think it's Fircoal, you have to buy Annex again. It's painful, very painful, but Annex puts you out of range of a triple estate rope pileup from the opponent, because that would put them at 20. Actually, maybe it's not so true. Put you kind of out of range. The trouble is they could also buy Annex. Um, so you buying Annex doesn't necessarily force them to buy another duchy, but it forces them to find 5th gain. Buy an estate. I think I like this. So Fearful goes for both the estate and the annex, which on the one hand is lowering piles before you pass it back over to the opponent. But with only 2 estates left, now estate, rope, annex It's one game less for the opponent, but that's not enough points, so they also have to buy a duchy now. So at the cost of 2 additional debt, Fircoal has put Kojii in the position needing to find 3 extra money, buy a duchy rather than a third estate, which they don't even come close to doing. All right, is this a win? Still not guaranteed.
Fair enough.
Fircoal has
No.
a hammer and ironworks in hand that could gain like 2 estates or an estate in a row, but they have to get out of debt before they can buy the last estate. What do they have set aside? Just another church. Yes, I think this is in fact guaranteed. Or no, it's not guaranteed. I think it's guaranteed to not be a win, but they also have extra draw coming in from the roads. So
But they have
Fircoal just needs to
draw.
find a
Yeah,
little
they
bit
have
more
draw.
money. Hmm?
I think Fircoal could potentially, if they draw into some stables, win here. But I
Fircoal needs
think
to
the money
find
doesn't.
2 more money, I believe.
Yeah. Or
Only thing that was missing from this game. Oh, the stable's dud is the thing that was missing. Can we find? Oh, yeah,
they're
that'll
not
do it.
going for an annex.
Yeah, Annex wouldn't have helped Kojii there. There'd still be at a points deficit, so I think it makes sense not to take it. Okay, game 1 to
Nice.
Fircoal. I knew they had it in them.
Congrats to Fircoal for game 1.
Never doubted them. Okay, what do we got here? Is there any plus buy anywhere in the kingdom? No. Oh,
No,
that's unfortunate. There's a lot of interesting looking cards,
no
and
gate. Yeah.
yeah, there's not really any value in playing with most of them because you're stuck gaining a single card per turn. So, this is a big money kingdom without any particularly good big money cards. Monkey is going to be less
A
good than
relic.
usual. Yeah, Monkey's never drawing you more than 2 cards unless your opponent swaps something. Uh, there's no like terminal draw or terminal payload cards that be good with big money. Um, yeah, Relic
You
I
would
think
pick
is
up
a
swap here.
hmm?
I can see you picking up swap here anyway.
They're just trying to make something work.
I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, the only card I for sure know that I would want is a Relic, and I think the big question mark is whether Apothecary is worth it. I don't know if Apothecary is particularly good in a single gain kingdom.
They're not. But maybe just throw in a bunch of advisors and a bunch of
I think Advisor is going to be pretty sad. Like there's going to be a extended greening phase probably here where you're buying all the provinces once at a time, and then they're just going to pitch your relics and leave you with the provinces, and you can't really gain enough advisors to just power through that. All right, other folks seem to have less faith in Apothecary than I do. I think Apothecary is a solid maybe. That's what I'd be thinking about in the opening. It's whether to take a potion. I believe Goatherd is pretty bad in big money games. That is what I recall, at least from. There was some Daily Kingdom a while back where it was like a big money ish kingdom where a lot of folks opened Goatherd and then Geronimo simulated it and showed that Goatherd actually had a pretty low win rate in that context. I can imagine getting at Captain maybe playing it once or twice as Goatherd and then playing it as other stuff later. Might be the most likely scenario for trashing cards here. All right.
oh,
Kojii
Koji goes
takes
for
a
the
potion. As I was,
apothecary.
I knew Apothecary was terrible. What is Kojii thinking? Who would get Apothecary here? Yeah, I think Relic is the clear 5 cost open. Oh, the other option, I suppose, on 5 would just be to like pursue copper plus buy a silver, and then you have guaranteed you get to buy something turn 2. And so you're functionally hitting like double silver instead of one relic. Might also be worth considering. That's probably what the other line Fearful would have considered is. All right, they're going for monkeys. Yeah, I mean, monkey is not a good card in this kingdom, but it's also the only terminal action card, and it's still drawing you 2 cards. So I think that makes some sense. Kojii takes a captain. I suspect the function of the captain is to be a goat herd early, get some of these states out of the way for that apothecary, and then it's just like an advisor or a merchant later.
So we do go for advisors.
Miracle buys an advisor. Interesting. Well, I sure hope I'm wrong about this kingdom and about the relative quality of advisor and apothecary.
I would have maybe considered a second relic, but yeah.
Yeah, this is definitely a kingdom where you could play with like 2 or 3 relics easily. In an engine kingdom, you pretty much only ever want the one because there's only the one negative card token, and so it can't stack with itself. Once you put the token on your opponent's deck, there's not a second one to put on to like cancel out 2 draws. But in a big money game where you're not seeing your whole deck every turn, you probably want a handful of relics so that you're consistently finding at least one of them. Does Koji know that Fircoal has a monkey in hand? We will see. They're thinking about it. Obviously, monkey's better than copper under normal circumstances, but if they can deduce that Fearful has a monkey, then you'd rather give them a second monkey that they can't play. It's not going to make much of a difference anyway, because 3 versus 4 is not a huge price point differential. The threes aren't great, the fours aren't great. Still question these advisors.
Yeah, I would do the same here. I think I would just pick up advisor, and spam advisors because, and then buy golds and relics.
Yeah, I think that the trouble is advisor needs at least 1 or 2 things to happen, or probably both. You need to trash aggressively so that you don't have a bunch of junk cards that your opponent can hand you off of the advisors. And you need to get enough of the advisors that you can just kind of power through your deck, play enough advisors that they can't discard everything good, and then eventually drop back around to the other good stuff. And if you're gaining one thing per turn, it's just going to be hard to gain enough advisors for that to be a realistic threat, I would think. I mean, Captain makes advisor a little bit better because, it's like an advisor that also has +1 card on top of that. Swap. That's
Swap. No.
interesting. I mean, Swap's a very fun card, but it's the one and only card in the whole kingdom that can make your opponent's monkeys draw extra cards. Because it does count as gaining. But it's not actually adding a net increase in cards to your deck because you're just swapping one thing for another. If Swap could gain captains, Swap would look a lot better because captain's pretty good here.
Yeah. Maybe they're even planning to swap the monkeys into advisors.
I don't know.
But is that any good?
I couldn't tell you which card they plan to swap into which other card. Koji takes a third apothecary.
Should be the last apothecary, I assume. Or do you want more?
Probably depends on what the hand looks like. Like if you have a potion in a hand that's otherwise not making a lot of money, I would certainly take another one. Uh So you could draw the monkey and buy another captain, or draw the relic and get started on provinces. All right, take a province. Fun fact, a fully advisor draw engine is immune to relic attack. Yes, asterisk. Advisor doesn't count as drawing cards. You're revealing three cards, and then your opponent puts two of them into your hand, none of which is a draw per se. So relic won't stop you from drawing. But that means the -1 card token will still be on your deck. And then when you go to draw your next hand, you'll just draw a 4-card hand because you never remove the token. If Fircoal is still buying advisors and not giving up on that angle, there literally is not a card in the deck you want to swap. Right. I can't explain the decisions being made here. What else is in that discard? There's one copper and one relic down there. So I think you
Pretty
swap.
sad.
Oh, there's also a
Oh,
captain
the
down there.
captain.
Okay, so then we're fine. I didn't realize there was also a captain down there. If there's a copper and a relic, I was going to suggest swapping the advisor into a merchant for a 50-50 shot at drawing the relic, as opposed to a 0% chance. But here it's impossible for kojii to stop Fircoal from getting the relic. If they discarded relic, you could just play captain as a merchant and then draw the relic. So discarding captain makes sense. At least keep it out of play. And surely, I was gonna say surely by province here, which probably is correct, but like, how consistently does Fircoal's deck hit province? They don't have that much money. It's just the relic and the coppers. Neither player has a silver, so like captain as merchant isn't even making that much money. Second two apothecaries. Who was it that was bad mouthing apothecary? Let me go back up and look. Iris and Medj. I expect a written apology. Apology accepted.
Yeah, Fircoal is pretty cooked here.
Yeah. All right, we've trashed the potion. No more apothecaries this game. That makes sense.
Yeah,
Fearful throws in the towel. You got some bad advice there.
thank you.
Oh,
So one
apothecary's
keeping
back.
it interesting.
And apothecary looks even better this time because it synergizes pretty well with wishing
Yeah,
well. Wishing Well really wants a card that can show you the card that's two from or one from the top, like the second card down in your deck. There's a lot of cards that reveal the top card of your deck, but not many that show you two or more. And Apothecary is one such card. So you play some Apothecaries, it draws your coppers early. Once your deck starts becoming lower in total number of coppers proportionally, well, then Apothecary's functioning as a support card for Wishing Well. Looks great. Uh, So I think probably you're opening Scrap plus Potion. Scrap can kill the estates, then you get a few Apothecaries and you go from there. Looks good to
yeah.
me. I presume the end goal is playing some Horns of Plenty. You can draw with
5-2
Apothecary
is
plus
pretty
Wishing
sad
Well.
here.
Come again?
The 5-2 is pretty sad here, in my opinion.
Yes. Ooh, yeah, Fearful has the 5-2, which sure does look worse. There's no fives that you particularly want to open with. I think probably just buying Scrap and nothing else, which is substantially worse than Scrap and Wishing Well or Scrap and Potion. Fearful just goes with a Journeyman. Intriguing. Not sure what the plan is with that. I mean, Journeyman seems like a good card for getting you back to 5. And there are good 5s here, but they're not 5s that I really want to play with early. Maybe the plan is an early Barracks? Well, so much for hitting 6. Journeyman is pretty good at hitting 6 because you can skip the estates, but you can't skip that scrap. We're taking a litter. Uh, I don't think Fircoal's down and out. Obviously, that's a worse opening, but there's a fairly likely scenario in which this shuffle works out pretty well for Fircoal. You got 8 cards down there, one of which is Litter, one of which is Journeyman. So very likely you get to play both Litter and Journeyman next turn, draw into the scrap, and then you've got a good turn. Um, Obviously, there's ways that shuffle could go sideways, like if the Litter's on the bottom.
But I do see the litter. So card buy here for kojii.
What are those bottom 5 cards? Bunch of coppers. I was thinking Coin Buy and then Apothecary Wishing Well. If you fail to draw a copper, you're real sad. Like
They just
this
got
hand
one
here for
estate
Fear.
left.
Was it?
They still just got one estate left, so I would try to draw a card here. Go card buy.
So 3 of those cards are coppers. One of them is an estate. The last one is a Wayfarer.
Oh,
So
okay.
there's a
So
60%
then,
chance that you draw 1 money. It's not obvious to me. The other side of drawing is like that next hand is guaranteed to be not very good. Uh, and if you draw a card, ideally you draw a copper off the top, and then hopefully your hand gets marginally better. But there's a 40% chance of missing out on a free wishing well. Okay, that turn went worse than it could have. That was looking like it was going to be a very good turn for Fearcoal, but they did not manage to find their scrap, which is a much more important card than Wayfarer at that point. They do have Barracks now, at least. Barracks seems quite good in this deck. You got a bunch of terminal draw cards, and those are not good cards to play unless you find a village to start with, and Barracks is a village that you'll always have at the start of turn. Yeah, Fearcoal's biggest problem remains all these estates. Uh, why are we trashing the estate now? That doesn't make sense to me. I mean, I guess you can do it in this order. I suppose it makes no difference. Like if you drawn the Wayfarer with the horse, then you wouldn't have needed to take plus card with the scrap, and you could just regain the horse. So you'd just be back at square one. It's not the order I found intuitive, but it's probably not any worse. All right, who has the? No one has a mining road. I would have bought mining road for sure before I bought my first Horn of Plenty. Because if you take mining road first and then buy a Horn of Plenty after playing mining road, you're still playing Horn of Plenty next turn, but with a free mining road out of it.
what do you think of the plan here on Wayfarers? Probably
Uh,
necessary to get thin and prepare for your Horn Megaton.
Now you're kind of committed to taking a bunch of Wayfarers, and those are terminals, so you need more villages. Yeah, I still think.
Yeah, I
I mean,
don't
you don't
love
want a
it.
bunch of mining roads, but like 1 to 2 mining roads looks better than taking Horn directly.
Would you say that contributes, or that you can say that about every Mining Road Horn game, that Mining Road is the first thing to gain
I would say that's
when there is
typically
enough
true.
draw? Or... Okay.
Like, there's very few cases where you can say every in a Dominion context. Maybe you're building a Horn
Yeah.
Megaturn that plays all the stuff in the buy phase, and then you can't play your mining roads or something. But typically, I would like you could play a horn and gain a mining road, or you could play a mining road and gain a horn, or you could play either of them and gain a horn. The difference being with the mining road, you're also getting some extra money out of it. Maybe it doesn't make much of a difference. I don't know. Yeah, like I would think about Mining Road when it works as basically being all the effects of Horn of Plenty because you get to play a Horn of Plenty during your turn, plus an extra 2 coins and a buy. So there's like a strict upside there as long as you've played your Mining Road and gained a horn. Cases where it's not going to be strictly better are like if you found the Mining Road but don't have enough money to gain a horn, or if you drew the Mining Road dead, well then you'd rather have drawn a horn. There are cases where maybe it's marginally worse, but looks better to me. All right, scrap a silver.
Looks like a pretty bad upcoming turn for Kojii here.
Yeah, it's a bit of a dud.
They don't
And,
get the barracks.
and annoyingly, they only have the 4 cards that will get into play. So they're not going to have enough cards for a horn to gain a 5 cost card. Self-inflicted dud. Do they have 8 money last turn? They have 6 coppers.
Yeah, it's 6 money.
They would have had 8 money if they'd played a mining road instead of a horn.
Maybe you're not playing this journeyman. No.
All right, so Fircoal is just stopping here, which is interesting. Don't know why you
Litter
wanted.
down there.
So, like, it's not a bad starting hand. They've got a litter down there, and I think there's at least one more Wayfarer. Yeah. Um, I'm not sure why it was important to hit 7 here. They took a coin for some reason. Oh, that's clever. They gained a gondola
Yeah.
to play the apothecary. I'm not sure how much that
Probably
actually
hoping
gets
to
you.
reach 6.
Yeah, possibly so. Yeah, it's a fun little interaction, but you're not getting that much out of it. Like if you could have just bought an apothecary, right? They already had the potion in hand. Let's see, I'm gonna say I think the gondola does make sense. I'm pretty sure the motivation was that Wayfarer drew 2 apothecaries off the top, which is pretty nasty in terms of likelihood of Koji drawing next turn because you've just seen most of your draw for the shuffle in the form of 2 apothecaries. So I imagine had they drawn worse cards, they would have just taken like apothecary and another wishing well or something. But you see yourself flip over most of your draw, and all of a sudden your mindset becomes, I need to get through the shuffle ASAP and get back around to those. And playing the apothecary helps with that.
Yeah, it could have prevented them from a pretty bad dot. Game losing dot, maybe here. Because Fircoal seems to be ahead now.
I'm gonna guess 2 litters from Fircoal. Seems to be what the deck needs. Fircoal wants another mining road instead. Surely at least one more litter. They already just added a Wayfarer this turn, so you have a bunch of terminal draw, more than you can currently play, and there is one village. I mean, maybe they're planning on using the Horn of Plenty gondola gain as a pseudo village. Otherwise, litter looks like a pretty immediate click to me. Really don't know what else you're considering here. Yeah, there we go. Oh my, that's not a great hand. Is it worth scrapping the horn just for a chance at a full turn? Hmm. I think quite possibly yes. So Fircoal has they have two more coppers and two more silvers down there. It looks like, and a few horns. There's a lot of cards that could be dud cards. If you draw any of the two coppers, two silvers, or three or two more
Mining roads
horns, yeah, mining
and the mining roads.
mining road wouldn't be a great draw. Um, Actually, I mean, with a mining road, you'd at least get to play it and then rebuy horn and gain something else. What you're really hoping to draw into is like a wayfarer or a journeyman. I think it's worth the gamble. Like this turn is accomplishing absolutely nothing otherwise, and yeah, there's basically no case where scrapping the horn goes worse. Because even if you draw a copper, you can just rebuy the horn. Um, there's ways where it fails to accomplish anything, and that's like probably between one third and one half likely. Um, but there's the upside of if you draw into a draw card, maybe you have a full turn, and then it for sure pays itself off. Here we go. Apothecary wishing well. Fun stuff. I think you scrap the gondola first, then play wishing well and wish for apothecary. They're doing it in a different order.
And then just copper.
This isn't exactly a full turn, but it's pretty dang close to it. The Wayfarer once again draws two apothecaries out of the three in their deck.
Yeah.
Bottom three cards are two coppers and a potion, I think. That's not a great hand next turn. Might you need to gain another gondola here? Perhaps. Think about changing this order around. They are changing the order, but not in the way that I was emphasizing. I believe those bottom three cards are a potion and two coppers. Is that not the case? That might not be the case. No, I didn't account for the fact that this wasn't a clean shuffle. The potion and the coppers are still in their discard. Um, I was thinking that was three dead cards on top, and you wanted to clear them off. In which case, you'd want to gain a gondola before gaining additional wishing or additional horns of plenty. Or is it? No, I am right. That was a potion. They did trigger shuffle. That was a potion and two coppers on top. Yeah, I think
Mm.
this is a dud that they could have avoided. Play your first horn, gain a gondola, or no, first horn. How many horns did they have? They only had the two. Hmm. I'm not sure the best order, but I think that you definitely should have gained a gondola to play an apothecary and draw all the junk off the top. And then you'd be stuck top decking a gondola, or top decking a gondola, a horn, and a litter are the two options. Neither of which is great, both of which are better than two coppers and a potion on top. So would not have trashed the horn. I think trashing horn was clearly correct there. Uh, like there's no case where it goes particularly worse. This is the thing we are contemplating earlier. Even if you draw a copper, you can just rebuy the horn, and then you didn't miss out on much. And then there was potential cases where it pans out substantially better than it did. Wishing for copper is a weird wish.
Pretty late leaders from Kojii. I still like Fircoal deck a bit more here, I think.
I think Fircoal's in the lead right now. I didn't notice what the horn split was, but I suspect that Fircoal has more of them.
So do they already have the 8 uniques? I think so.
That's a good question. Normally, it just ends up being
Looks
pretty
like it.
trivial that by the time you want provinces off of horns, you probably just happen to have had 8 unique cards in your deck one way or another. Let's see if that's the case. One, two, three, four, 5 unique cards in play at the moment, plus copper, horn, and scrap. Yeah, that's 8 uniques right there. Oh, and wishing well is a ninth one.
So probably it's about time to green here for Fircoal.
Oh, am I very wrong about who had more horns? Firgo only has 3 horns in the deck. Wow, I just assumed they had more of them. Silly me.
Yeah, me too.
Hmm. The plot thickens.
I don't think Kojii has enough uniques to go
Oh
for
yeah,
provinces, so
yeah. Koji. I'd be more worried about the deck control than just the sheer number of unique cards. Koji's deck has a bunch of horns, but very well might not draw itself. What are you buying here? I don't know why Fearful wants another mining road. That does not look good to me at this stage of the game at all. Yeah, like you can play mining road and then gain a silver with Wayfarer and play it immediately, which is 2 extra money. I mean that's something. But then the silver's still in your deck the following turn. So they're adding a scrap, presumably to get the silvers back out of the deck. Not a bad starting hand.
yeah.
Yeah, so Koji has a bit of a dud. Actually, not guaranteed yet. They could still have a chance. Yep, no dice. Predictable dud. Got to be careful here with what you lower. I think Koji would want more litters, but you take any of those and litter Wayfarer starts to look like a very easy pile out for Fear Coal. Yeah, with a good draw here, Fear Coal just piles out on Wayfarer litter, I think, pretty easily. That is not guaranteed. Uh interesting choice scrapping the Wayfarer there. I would have played the Wayfarer
Yeah.
first to see what you draw, and then potentially scrap silver depending on what you find. This will be a win.
This looks like a win in hand, yeah. So would you have gone for the same line, like just province double scrap here as Fircoal last turn, or
Oh, the Province scrap Wayfarer.
yeah,
The one thing I would have changed about the gains last turn is I don't think another mining road is doing that much for you aside from increasing your chance of dudding. I think that mining
yeah,
road could have been a litter gain, and then you're I don't know if that's dangerous or not. Yeah, I think a litter probably would have been fine. You're lowering a pile versus an opponent with a bunch of horns. But like if Koji draws all their horns, they're probably winning on provinces anyway. And so I think what you're trying to do as Fircoal is put things in a position where if you draw, you win next turn before Kojii gets their deck together. Because Kojii would win over the long term with 6 of the 9 horns. And I think litter makes you a little bit more likely to kick off. And lowering a pile is a good thing in a scenario where you're trying to pile it quickly. Uh, is this win on provinces? They're too short of winning on provinces. Okay, I'm pretty sure that's suboptimal. Unless I'm missing something, Fircoal couldn't actually win on provinces. Taking 7 provinces was going to be a win anyway, because there's not enough points left in the kingdom for Kojii to come back. But rather than functionally ending the game by having an insurmountable points lead, they could have just literally ended the game by taking all the litters and wayfarers. Okay, what do we got here? Guildhall.
Research as the only trashing.
Yeah, so research for trashing. Island can set things aside. Uh, Guildhall would like you to have ways to gain lots of treasures, which I don't see any major synergies here. Okay, apparently Lemon Spawn sees something I
Mm.
don't. What is the
This
value of
looks good
Guildhall here?
because there's no village and only hunter draw, and looks pretty moneyish aside from that.
Yeah, so there's no village, but there's non-terminal draw with Hunter and Research. I probably buy Guildhall here. It doesn't look great. Um, Band of Misfits would be a lot better if it didn't have non-duration added. For the longest time, Band of Misfits could play duration cards. That got changed recently, and here that stops Band from playing the best 4-cost card in the kingdom. Okay, they're jumping to it. Sage plus Research. Sage not doing a lot over the long term, just helps you find the research consistently. Kojii takes an Herb Gatherer. Fircoal takes an Egg. Hmm. Herb Gatherer seems odd, says Minion Pawn.
I like it, but I just like Upgatherer in general.
This is a tragic Acolyte. Acolyte cannot trash treasures. And Fircoal does have estates in the deck. Yeah, so Herb Gatherer gives you control over the Acolyte, not the Acolyte, the Augur pile, because only the top card of the pile can rotate to the bottom cards. And I mean, there's cards in that pile you might want. The trouble is Herb Gatherer is terminal in a kingdom with no villages, so it's not doing a whole lot. It is plus buy, which is something, but you also have Jeweled Egg plus buy, plus most of the loots from Jeweled Egg.
Would for sure be nice to gain a staff here. If
Yeah,
not
Staff would be
gaining.
the best loot by a mile in this kingdom. It was a lot worse last time because you didn't need the villages. Here you do need the villages a lot. Staff looks great. Sword is just generally good. Prize Goat would not be bad for trashing the coppers. Hammer would be good. Figurehead is good. Chalice would be good if you got it early at least. Doubloons would probably be good here. You probably want the treasure a lot. Spell Scroll would be solid. Early Hammer looks good.
Probably gain more research. Yeah. Do you think this is the game where researching loots might be the play here in
I
the mid to late game?
certainly think that could come up. At this stage of the game, they don't have enough cards in their deck to set aside 7. But like depending on the hand, if you had like a research and a loot and no other draw, I could definitely see crashing a loot here, especially depending on the loot. Yeah, 3 acolytes are gone from the pile, but that doesn't really mean anything. Acolyte, you can. Oh, where'd it go? It's disappearing on me. Acolyte, you can trash it and gain an augur, which if Acolyte's on top, just means trash an Acolyte, gain an Acolyte, which for most intents and purposes does nothing. But it puts Acolytes in the trash.
This looks pretty over, yeah. Fircoal just had very bad draws, I think, here. Or was there something I'm missing?
They were playing pretty quickly, so I don't even know where the advantage came from. Oh, there was a Fircoal did not in their opening, but like their next few buys were clearly very oriented towards making use of the auger pile. Like they bought an herb gatherer. Wait, no, that was Kojii that got the herb gatherer. Fircoal got the acolyte though, and then they whiffed on that first acolyte turn where they drew it with a bunch
Yeah.
of treasures. That was definitely a suboptimal draw. I don't know if that's enough to explain the extent to which they're behind at the moment, but that was it's not great.
Reversible.
We might
Looks
see.
pretty
Oh
good.
no, we're not. What is Kojii planning here? Does trashing a copper? I guess. Um, I'm not convinced trashing a copper was better than just taking 4 extra money and buying the Sybil, saving your coffers. I thought they might have been planning to play the research with orb and trash a gold to draw a bunch. Orb is also a village if you've got cards in your discard. It's a lot worse than staff though, because you have to forego the 3 money and a buy in order to get the village effect. Okay, a much worse turn here for Kojii. So they should still be well in the lead. Symbol egg, yep, that makes sense. I'm surprised we haven't seen an island gain yet. It's an easy card to take off of, say, the hammer or an extra 4 money, and it would come with an extra 3 points. I expect an island gain this turn. Or maybe just a province buy. I'm just looking at those aqueduct points and thinking they're looking pretty good right about now. Island is fine. I mean, you don't have that many terminal action cards you want to play. You can set it aside, or you could research it. Really, it's just get a victory card. Top deck, Sage and Sybil. Research Jeweled Egg. Set both of those aside. Then the Herb Gatherer plays whatever loot you just gained. The order doesn't matter here.
Do you really want to play the up gatherer here, or just leave the cards top decked?
No. The research is going to set them aside.
Oh, okay, okay. Didn't see that.
This is just worse. Yeah, Kojii thought about the interactions there, but didn't find what I think is clearly the best line. Setting aside Sage and leaving a copper in hand, A, makes you 1 more money, and then B, you're setting aside a better card for start of turn next turn. Not a big deal,
Yeah, I
but
wouldn't have
just a
seen that.
minor mistake. We did see the island get
Would you
gained and played
consider
already.
province here? Province Hunter? Or
Hmm.
is it a tad too early?
Province would have looked like a very sensible buy for sure, if not for already having gained the island. Province could still be in the cards here, potentially. I think I'd probably be more inclined to click like two hunters and a silver or something. But Province Hunter would not surprise me. Yep, Koji just wants the province. Fircoal gets the hammer. Unfortunately, good deal later. Still not a bad loot. I think the spell scroll's probably becoming a hunter. Yeah. Trash of gold and a
Okay,
copper.
nice. Another hunter here, or do you also green? No, it's just another hunter.
Yeah, we're getting to the game, or the stage of the game where buying copper could be reasonable. You're getting a free copper off of it. Obviously, copper's not great for the deck, but the immediate money could be worth the trade off.
But I don't see Koji dotting here anymore. Maybe
Yeah.
later on, but no.
Once again, top deck Sybil Hunter, research Jeweled Egg, Herb Gatherer plays the loot. Looks like the best play to me. Are there treasures in the discard? Another order you could consider would be to top deck the province, research the Jeweled Egg, then play the Hunter. I think there's a copper down there you could draw. That might be a little bit better. Makes you like one more money. Yeah, actually, that is better. Um, okay, this is worse. Why are you setting aside the Herb Gatherer? Now you're also lower on buys. Again, the finer details aren't going to matter. Goji is way ahead here. Is Gain and Planet Island too safe? No, I think that's a reasonable possibility. Uh, Koji did that last turn. Definitely could do that this turn. The downside, which was a self-imposed downside, is if you're using the orb to play the island, you're going to be pretty low on buys because your only other buy is coming from Puzzle Box. Um, yep, they are doing that. Again, had they just left the Herb Gatherer in hand and played the Herb Gatherer, they would have three buys, and then that downside wouldn't even particularly apply. Bit late in the game for Endless
Oh,
Chalice. That would be a good loot early.
that's rough.
Yeah, I mean, Fircoal's deck is mostly working here, but they're just very behind on points. This was also a turn that was initiated by researching a gold the previous turn, so next turn probably won't be quite as good. I don't know if Koji has 24. I believe they hit 17 last turn plus the five coffers, so they're close at a minimum. This is
Minus the
either going to be
three from the orb. Yeah.
yeah. Orb is three extra money. They also, if they have extra buys, they could buy an extra copper and get that immediate copper. I suspect that would have been 24. Ooh, obviously, just two provinces would have been totally fine. All right, Koji, 3 minute break. I will also be back in 3 minutes then.
Yeah, me too.
Alrighty, I am back. Looks like I made it in time. What's the score? Is it 2-all? Yes, indeed. 2-all going into game 5. What do we got here?
I'm back.
You showed up right on time. Next Kingdom just showed up. So,
Credit looks pretty good here. If you need it, I think.
which card? Oh, credit.
Credit.
Yeah, on the 5 too. You could open with double fives, which might be nice. Villages are quite limited. Prince is a village of sorts, but the only non-terminal card costing 4 or less you could set aside with Prince would be an Imp off of Devil's Workshop, which is not trivial to get for lineup. Innovation is a village. Innovation can be strong with Soup. You play it after playing other treasures, and then you make the full 7.
With Artisan too.
Let's see what they do.
I don't really love the Artisan. I think going for the Souk is better.
Yeah, I think I like this turn 2 credit for Souk play, trash 2 estates immediately.
Yeah,
You could do
for
that
sure.
on the 4. Obviously, the 4-3 line is a lot worse because you can't buy a 5 alongside it. But Kojii could have, for example, bought Devil's Workshop turn 1, credit Souk turn 2, also trash 2 estates, which looks quite good. The 3-4 would probably be the worst split. Because you're either only trashing one estate or you're doing the credit thing turn 1, which is worse. Um, as Fircoal, I think to buy innovation here. Yep. Yeah, so Fircoal, I think, looks quite in the lead. They had the better split. I also think they just made the better use of their opening, and these shuffles have gone great. I think here you play 1 copper, buy Artisan. Innovation will play it immediately. You can gain a Souk, trash 2 more coppers, and then you'll top deck the Souk. That seems pretty good. What else might you
Can
consider? Nothing
can you
else is
really
jumping
afford
out to me.
the Artisan here? I'm questioning myself.
Artisan doesn't seem that great. I mean, you're very limited on villages. I do like trashing 2 things immediately. I guess the other option would have been like just buy the Souk directly, trash 2 coppers, and then you'd make a bunch of money back, and then you could buy like I don't know what else, Werewolf or Second Junk Dealer or something. Wouldn't mind Devil's Workshop. I really like the idea of getting an imp or two. Innovation is nice with Prince because you could leave an imp in hand, buy Prince, and then immediately play it, getting that imp set aside. And even just one extra action makes a big difference here. It's a kingdom with a lot of good terminals that you can't play. Dismantle might not be a terrible card, actually.
Yeah, I would like
Uh,
to dismantle here. I was about to say.
you gain a bunch of Souks to trash, and then you get more than you can play. You can dismantle them down to silver, gain a gold alongside it. Something like that would be good. Gaining the maroon confuses me a lot. Don't know what's going on there. Yeah, it seems like the goal is going to be to print the maroon. I think I'd much rather to gain a Devil's Workshop and gain an imp, which you could have done in that exact same line. And like if you gained a Devil's Workshop, bought a search, you'd have gained 2 cards already. The imp would have been the gain. Poor Fircoal does not hit 8. Their dreams of printing the maroon are shattered. Never mind. I kind of forgot credit. That makes a lot of sense. Just credit for the
Yeah.
prints. You take some extra debt, but you still get the maroon down immediately. So he built a cathedral using Prince and Maroon. Ooh, province already. That is very early. I question that.
Weird to me.
I don't think Koji's deck is ready to take provinces. Like, look at this hand. This hand is doing absolutely nothing of value. I still have Devil's Workshop on the brain. Would have liked to gain one here. Apparently, Fircoal does not. Okay, a little trick here that can occasionally make you few extra coins. The way debt worked, this isn't how it always worked. The rules changed when Rising Sun came out. It used to be that you could only pay off debt during your buy phase. Now the rule is you can just pay off debt whenever you've got the money for it, which, for example, is lovely with a card like Black Market, where if it used to be if you had even one debt and you had like 20 money and you play a black market, you technically just couldn't buy anything from the black market because you can't buy things when you're in debt and you can't pay off money in the action phase, and so black market is shut down by any amount of debt. Now the rule is you can pay off the debt and then go on with your turn. One kind of weird little upside of that ruling change is that cards like Souk or Poorhouse, I think those are actually the only two, that make you a lot of money and then take it away again, you technically can make 7 money, put all that money towards paying off debt, and then when it goes to subtract money again, well, you've already got 0 money, and so it can't do anything. And so you can get like the full. Like if you had 7 debt, you can get the full 7 money out of Souk, even if you had treasures in hand. It's not like super OP or anything, but if you're paying attention, you can often eke a few extra coins out of Souk in the right context.
So you kind of want to gain depth. You want to have depth when you're playing Zook. Is that correct? Or
Yeah, like you'd like to leave yourself with a bunch of debt, and then if you play the Souk, even with a bunch of treasures in hand, you get the full 7 because you can put the 7 towards paying off all the debt. Usually not the sort of thing that like you plan your deck around because it's kind of situational, but it's a nice thing to be cognizant of and take advantage of when you can.
I still don't understand it, but okay. Weird to me.
Like to try to think of a simple example. Let's say you had a deck that was full of treasures, but you were buying a city quarter every single turn, and so you're just always in 8 debt. You could add 2 poorhouses to that deck, and then you play your poorhouses. They make you 4 money, and they're about to subtract you like 7 money from all your coppers. But after you've gotten the 4 money, but before you've taken the -7 money, you put all 4 money towards paying off debt. You don't have money anymore, and so try to subtract 7 and it fails. Would be a case where that might be useful.
Oh, okay. Okay. Weird one.
So it appears we're not taking any imps this game, which is sad. Fircoal's strategy seems to be to activate these searches. They've got 1 million in play. They're behind by 12 points, but I think they should have time to catch up.
Yeah, I think so too.
Like if they put 7 or 8 loots in their deck, then you use this maroon to trash, say, 1 werewolf, and then you're going to draw 8 cards off of that. You've just shoved your deck full of treasures. You can probably hit double or triple province there.
Hoping for the stuff again.
Oh yeah, Wine Merchant is a good example of another card that benefited from the change in the way debt works, which is so Wine Merchant requires you to. I think it's at the end of the buy phase it checks. Wine Merchant gives you 4 money, but then it gets stuck on the tavern mat unless you have 2 money left over at the end of your buy phase. So you can play it for 4 money and then just leave it sitting there, or you can play it for functionally 2 money. But if there's a card with debt around, what you can do is play Wine Merchants, buy whatever you want, leave 2 money at the end of the buy phase, discard the Wine Merchants. Then in your cleanup phase, take the 2 money you had left over and put it towards paying off debt, and then you got the full 4 money out of it, and still got to discard it. None of
Yeah, I
these is like
get that
super
one,
broken, but they're
yeah.
tricky little interactions. I think those are largely I would view those as unintended side effects of the rules change. The cards that like majorly benefit from the rules change, and I think the main reason it seems more pleasant to play with the new version of the debt ruling are A, Black Market, which is a card that used to be really annoying to play with. Or in general a very fun card, but annoying to play with debt. And then B, Change, the card that just came out with Rising Sun, which would have been a nightmare to play with the old debt rules, because you'd just like play one change and get stuck in debt forever, and then your changes would never be able to remodel. That's a lot of searches you've got there. Excess searches aren't such a bad thing. There are two type cards, so like you can ruin them for draw once you need to.
Here we go. The bronze. Okay.
So funny enough, the last search actually stays in play. Uh, the one that you gained and played. There's a lot of effects, like livery, for example, where if you buy a livery and use innovation on it, livery will trigger off of its own gain and gain you a horse because you gained a card costing 4 or more. Or if you innovate a haggler, you can immediately resolve the haggler's effect because it creates another on gain effect that just goes into the same stack of actions as the innovation play. Search is not one of those because search specifically says the next time a supply pile empties, and as opposed to a card that's like when you gain, next time specifically means it has to happen after the fact. So a next time effect can't trigger off of
Okay.
itself. So here they innovated a search, got it into play immediately, but it still didn't trigger in time because of the next time wording.
The next. Okay. Now I got that too.
Okay, does Fircoal win this turn? I suspect yes, though it is not
It's a
entirely clear.
search.
So we got 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 16. Okay, maybe not quite a win yet. They're behind by 12 and they can't hit 24. There's nothing. Let me think. The provinces are kind of a nuisance for Souk. Like there could be scenarios where you buy a Souk for 5, innovate it, and get 2 money for free out of it, and then maybe that helps. That's still you're still pretty far from 24 there, and that doesn't work if you have provinces in hand. Yeah, I think the folks saying you don't need to win this turn are probably correct. Fircoal can just like take some duchies or take like one province and a few duchies, and then win on the following turn and be totally fine. I would have thought about gaining a werewolf to hand there and just attacking Kojii. Probably wouldn't have mattered that much in practice. But werewolf is also a good target for the maroon.
Oh, so you guarantee yourself to draw for the next turn, or? Hmm.
Uh, werewolf just seems like a good like it's a card that you would have gotten immediate value out of. If you find it in next hand, you get a lot of draw out of it. Um, Folks are suggesting that you trash the Endless Chalice next turn because Chalice has 3 types. Fircoal seems to have the same idea because they chose to top deck the Chalice instead of playing it. So it's a card you can draw a lot of, or a lot from. I don't know. I like Chalice. I respect Chalice more than apparently they do. I would probably just play the Chalice, and you could top deck a Werewolf if you wanted to draw. That draws you even more than the Chalice does because it's got 4 types. I feel like the folks saying popping were using imprecise terminology. To me, I mean, there's no formal term here, but like popping to me suggests it's a card that trashes itself for a benefit. Like you could pop a death cart, or you could pop a mining
Yeah.
village. I don't think you're popping the chalice if you're just trashing it with the maroon. That's how I would use that word.
This is double
And this is a win.
province. Yep.
And another chalice. They were in fact endless. Okay, 3-2 for Fircoal going into the final game. Fortunately, Fircoal is player 2 this time, but I'm sure that won't stop them, though it
And
has stopped them in the
unfortunately,
previous games.
kojii can double MS, triple
Uh,
MS even.
ooh,
That's not good for Fircoal, I think.
yeah. There are kingdoms where Pouch being in the $3 hand versus $4 hand can make a big difference. In kingdoms where you want like a bunch of 2 cost cards, even without a mass, I think the $4 hand Pouch would look a lot better because you could buy like 2 raises, for example. With a mass around, uh, you can gain whatever you want in the opening. And if the Pouch is in the $4 hand, you get to click a mass twice the same turn, and you just get like whichever 3 action cards you want. Fearcoal, unfortunately, can only gain 2 things here.
But the five that do not look, the 5 costs do not look amazing here, so maybe it's not too crucial, I would say.
Yeah, I'm not sure that you're actually getting the 5s all that early, but it's still just 1 extra gain. Like, even if what you wanted was raises, you could take like 3 raises instead of 2 off of Koji's split. Iris is suspecting that Koji doesn't see that they can buy double a mask because they only put 2 in
I
play.
definitely see it.
I I think I know Yuri Kamame does the same thing. Where they just play 2 coppers, and it looks like they just have the 2 money. But they think with 2 coppers in play, and then they play the rest of their coppers. I don't know why they do that. They do that. Yuri is
It's
also
pretty
on the
funny.
Japan A team, aren't they? Pretty sure they are.
Yeah, I think so.
It's Agu 03, Koji, Yuri Kamame, and Kazumaru.
Yeah, pretty rough. Pretty strong players, sure.
They're all right. They got nothing on the USA A team, who I hear are phenomenal. At least that's the word on the street.
I honestly think Tracer has a good shot to win the finals.
Sorry, what was that?
Or is that the last game, right? This is already the final game.
I don't know I know I'll be playing Agu on Thursday. The others been scheduled already? I could find that information somewhere. Let me take a look. All right, Minion Pawn will be playing Yuri Kamame, 14 UTC on Friday. It's like American morning, like European afternoon, Japanese evening. I'll be playing Agu 14 UTC the previous day on Thursday. And then Tracer will be playing Kazumaru on Saturday at 14 UTC. So 3 days in a row, all at the exact same time.
So it's 4 different finals.
Yeah, this one's only off by 1. No, I mean, Lemon Spawn is still correct. Oh, no, Lemon Spawn's not quite correct. Lemon Spawn said all the games were happening at the same time. Yeah, this one's slightly later. The others will be at almost the same time. Anyways, what did they open with? Koji takes Village Green, Maroon, and Mastermind. Fircoal takes Maroon and Mastermind. Mastermind's a greedy opening gain. Hmm. This is a tough choice. So if Koji trashes a copper or an estate, which you would naturally do here, and then plays Mastermind, they're for sure going to have no targets for the Mastermind next turn. Because there's no actions down there. They don't even bother playing it, which makes sense because if the Mastermind is in play, you can't amass. This gives them at least the option to buy a mass next turn. What they could have contemplated doing there was trashing the pouch and then playing the Mastermind. Pouch has 2 types, so they would have drawn 2 extra cards from Maroon, triggered a shuffle early, and then potentially drawn an action card off the top. wouldn't be guaranteed or anything, but they give them a chance to get value out of the mastermind. Seems like they didn't think it was worth it, which might be correct. At least for a moment, pouch is the only plus buy. Once you hit 10, you can buy invasion and start getting loots, but they might not have wanted to get stuck with a single buy per turn until that point. Uh, so Fircoal had an incredibly greedy opening, and it has paid off. Just opening Maroon, Mastermind, and nothing else with just one other action in the deck. They found the Mastermind turn 3, lined it up with the Maroon turn 4, trashed 3 cards, drew into their plus buy. Things are going swell. Yeah, I'm not saying it was wrong to go for the greedy line. Like Firkle was behind and took a line that could get him in the lead, and as it turns out, it has. What are you gaining here? Village Green and a raise, maybe? Yep, Firkle agrees. All right, Koji's deck is getting somewhere now, though. We're not out of the woods yet. So if Koji pops the raise, finds the maroon, trashes a copper, is it possible to get to 10? I'm not even sure if 10 is possible there, let alone likely. Might not be worth it. I think they're thinking about whether they get to invasion. Uh, like if you were to trash the raise, draw the maroon, trash the mastermind, I think that for sure gets you to 10. That might be worse than just trashing a copper and playing the mastermind. I think I would rather, yeah, just play the mastermind. I think. Ooh, interesting. I thought you would have trash a copper there. Koji says no. Uh, but you've left a maroon on top. You got a mastermind in play. You'll probably hit 10 this turn. Kind of unfortunate to find the village greens, actually. If you were to trash Raise and reveal a village green, that'd be an easy way to activate them. Because Raise discards all the cards that it doesn't put in hand, which would have allowed you to play village green for free. All right, this is 10 nonetheless, so Koji draws first blood at the invasion. Can't trash a copper here, or you won't hit 10. I think 10 is worth it. What happened to Fircoal? It seemed like we were thinking that Fircoal would hit 10 at some point, and then it didn't happen. Don't recall which turn that was. Someone was suggesting that if they trash the pouch, they would get there. Not sure Turkey top deck. My first instinct would just be Wayfarer. It's a card that you'd really like to mastermind. You'll draw everything, hit 10 again, get your Wayfarer back, or get your mastermind back down. Then you could top deck another draw card. And then you're in a nice little virtuous cycle. I'm not sure what the other options they're considering are. They don't want to play the map. I don't know what they're doing now. Maybe they wanted to trash the raise to draw the silver because something they're going to buy requires them to have the 2 extra money. Yeah, they wanted to buy another mastermind. Okay. So they weren't hung up on whether to top deck Wayfarer. They were just contemplating whether to gain an extra mastermind. Makes sense.
Probably makes sense. Yeah.
Right, so Fircoal will be hitting 10 here. And yeah, they're still in the thick of things. They also have the mastermind set up. They won't have a third mastermind quite yet. So I think Kojii still appears to be in the lead.
Good spot. Yeah. I wonder about no militias being gained, but I think it's not a good card with Mastermind and the good draws here.
So the Village Green kind of counted as militia in the same way that Sword has just demonstrated. I think once Fircoal has a sword, militia starts to look pretty bad because you already got like half the discard attack for free out of the sword. I could see Kojii adding the militia. If Fircoal has a Village Green in hand, it kind of does nothing. Otherwise, it's still -2 cards, which is something. Lemon Spawn wants Barbarians. Barbarian is a pretty nasty card. I'm not sure if it'll get gained here. The big reason it might not is just that it costs 5, and Mastermind also costs 5. And in any case where you might want the Barbarian, why not just add a Mastermind?
So are you able to double invasion here for Kojii?
See,
Could be so.
you make 3 money back most of the time. So the number you're looking for is only 17, which is not that difficult. We got 11. That looks like it'll do it. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think just Invasion one more time, gain another Mastermind off of it. And then, I'm not sure which 4 cost I'd most want to buy. Could be Militia. I think Village Green and Broker
Yeah.
both also look good. Let's take another Village. We're fast approaching Pilot territory, because Invasion naturally empties the duchies. Wayfarer is low and can be 0 cost in the right context. Mastermind is also low. To the untrained eye, it might appear that Kojii is in the lead, having clicked Invasion 3 times to Fircoal's once. But that's exactly where Fircoal wants them. Yeah, the sword has been kind of friendly.
Yeah.
If you discard the Village Green, then you're still playing it either way. So in terms of cards, it's not actually reduces the size of your opponent's hand in any meaningful sense, but playing it for free off of the discard effect is like +1 extra action relative to having to play it yourself. So the sword is just like a little extra village effect for Kojii. Puzzle box is pretty good loot here. Better for the player who doesn't have the sword attack hitting them every turn. I think I like the broker. You're sitting on a bunch of duchies, which are potentially good targets. You could like mastermind a broker, trash a bunch of duchies, hit a big number, and then in the game is one threat. There's also a mastermind that you won't want to be playing on the final turn, which is an easy broker target. This game is quite close to over, so you're looking for cards that are kind of explosive. Second sword is indeed sad. Yeah, unfortunately, Koji still has these double masterminds, which is a big problem. Triple playing two things is better than just doing it the once. Will there be a win this turn? It's kind of hard to calculate because invasion is at least a bit non-deterministic. 2/3 of the loot say plus buy on them. 5 of them don't. But of the 5 that don't, 2 of those are spell scroll and hammer, which do gain something. I mean, the balloons gains the gold, but that's not helpful for piling out. But like if you hit doubloons, figurehead, or insignia, you might end up with 1 gain less than you anticipated. Like in terms of non-invasion gains, it would take 8 gains here to win for Koji. Uh, yeah, basically 8 gains. 3 Wayfarers, 4 Village Greens, 1 Duchy. That would just be a tie in points on its own, but conceivably you could gain one of those cards off of a farmland, which would also come with an extra 2 points. I don't think they've got 8 gains in them by any stretch, but Invasion can de facto reduce the number of gains a lot. Like if you're willing to pay essentially 7 each time, you buy Invasion, you gain the Duchy for free, you gain an action card, you play a loot, you got 3 money back and 1 buyback, and so it didn't cost you a buy. The risk there is if you have like exactly enough, then you got to pray that the invasion hits a plus buy loot, which isn't guaranteed. So Koji's been thinking for a minute. I assume the deliberation here is whether to just draw a bunch off the off the Wayfarer, or you could mastermind a mastermind, which is setting up to have a phenomenal turn in 1 turn. At the cost of having a slightly worse turn this turn. I think I like that idea. Triple play a mastermind. Don't shoot for the win here. Just take a points lead and hang on. And then if you get another turn with 4 mastermind plays coming in, you should be winning. The risk there, I think, is if Fircoal can win the game next turn. I'm not sure how likely that is.
But stopping here for sure is not an option, or is it?
What's not an option?
Stopping here for kojii. What do you
No,
think
yeah,
about
they're
stopping
they're
here
going to
and
continue
just
on with the turn for sure. I assume they're contemplating whether to play the Mastermind 3 times or the Wayfarer 3 times.
oh,
Triple playing Wayfarer will give you a better turn this turn. Triple playing the Mastermind will give you an excellent next turn at a cost to the quality of your current turn. I think I like just double playing the master or triple playing the Mastermind by like Province Invasion or something. You've got a pretty big points lead. You'll probably hang on 1 more turn and then win the following turn. I suspect. Obviously, there's a little bit of a risk there. Your opponent has a broker on top, which is a great turn to have, or a great card to have on the last turn of the game, when you can just cannibalize your deck for tons of money or draw. What'd they go? Okay, yeah, so Koji does go with the triple mastermind play. So I think your main motivation here is just take enough points to not immediately lose, and I think you should be fine. Koji also has the insignia, which is nice, because like the one way the next turn could go badly is if you don't find a draw card on top, but they can guarantee they have one by just top decking it. So just like put either a broker, probably a broker, or alternatively potentially a maroon on top of your deck. Wayfarer would also be a good draw, but you don't really want to lower that pile right now. And then I think you put the rest of your money towards buying provinces. You could also just buy Invasion. Yeah, Invasion naturally top decks the action card. I don't think like Invasion lowers the Duchy pile, but realistically, that's probably not even a relevant concern because a winning line for the opponent would probably naturally involve them buying Invasion regardless, and so that Duchy would just be like a free gain off of that. So yeah, I think Invasion double province looks good here.
I think I'd go for a triple province broker or something like that.
They're a little short of that. They're one coin short of triple province broker, I think. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, they are. So is it really that risky to gain another Wayfarer when you're triple provincing? I think
Not
not
that much,
that.
realistically. Um, yeah, you could do top deck of Wayfarer by triple province. At that point, probably the most likely win for Fircoal would be hitting 40 somehow for 5 provinces, which is probably not happening. How many gains is F capped at? Asks Lemon Spawn. Well, theoretically, as many as you want. You just buy invasion a bunch of times and keep getting plus buy loots. In practice, I'm not really sure. How much money did Fircoal make last turn? They had enough to buy 2 invasions and a duchy. So their deck makes approximately 25 money. Pretty big number, but not big enough. They can make more money this turn by, for example, brokering a bunch of stuff for money. But like, I don't know if they're making 5 provinces worth extra money.
Really impossible.
All right, I see signs of life. Kojii is going for the invasion. I think you top deck a broker here. Be my card of choice. So Koji, oh, interesting. I thought they were going to potentially leave a silver in hand and like farmland the silver into a duchy. They're leaving a copper in hand, which suggests maybe they're going to do farmland a copper into an estate. Nope, we're back to playing all the treasures. All right, yeah, so they do top deck a broker, and I think you just buy one more broker. They top decked a province. I think the logic of that is your opponent has a sword. You're gonna have to discard a card. You can't guarantee there's gonna be a village queen in your hand every turn. So putting a province on top guarantees you have a bad card to discard. Or maybe actually, perhaps alternatively, the logic
Also
is
good,
just
yeah.
planning to broker the province for a ton of draw. That's probably the main reason to top deck a province is not the sword protection. It's giving you at least one expensive card. Well, you're never gonna have catastrophe because you've got a broker in your starting hand, guaranteed.
And three mastermind plays or 9. Yeah.
Yeah, so Fear Cole needs to plan to win this turn. I don't know what the win looks like, but I agree with Minion Pawn. What's the most plausible win? 6 provinces does not seem like a realistic possibility. So probably somehow farmland gaining a bunch of wayfarers or something. Uh, and village greens. I had a lot of money to work with. Oh, is this the last action? That's a tad awkward. Yeah, trashing village green isn't great. I'm thinking that the silver gain actually ended up being quite bad. Because the silver is only useful if you draw back around to it. I guess you got to broker a mastermind or a wayfair to draw the silvers. Like trashing mastermind for 5 is just less money than trashing it and drawing 3 silvers. The downside of gaining the silvers is wayfair now costs 3, which makes it harder to do things like buy a farm hand, turning a wayfarer into a province. Brokering tracker for actions. I mean, you could do that.
Yeah, I was about to think
I mean,
same.
I think the money maximizing line actually is brokering mastermind for actions, playing Wayfarer to draw 3 silvers, and playing the tracker. But then with the tracker and the Wayfarer no longer in your hand, you're losing out on potential farmland targets that could matter. Um, I obviously this is the point where you think and they're thinking, but I would assume that the move is probably broker mastermind drawing the silvers, and then you could buy a farmland, trashing a tracker into like a village green. Then how do you get Wayfarer back to like 6 money? Not sure. Somehow you need that to happen so you can Wayfarer into province for points. The trouble with farmland, I believe, is the card you gain off of the farmland effect is always going to be gained later than the farmland. So the farmland is never going to make the Wayfarer cost 6.
It costs 8 then.
Oh, Minion Pawn actually is probably right about this, and I'm wrong. You buy the farmland,
Oh,
then that
okay.
farmland is
Okay.
the one that at that point is the most recently gained card. Uh, it still seems pretty far short of a pile out, though. With enough buys, you could do it. If you had 8 buys, this would be a win. Fircoal does not have 8 buys or anywhere close to that. If you had like a million money, this would be a win. Just buy invasion a bunch of times, gaining wayfarers and village greens. Okay, yeah, that just seems like
Resigning, yeah.
yeah. I mean, if you're Koji's hand is actually kind of awkward because like at this point your main consideration is points, so you don't really want to trash a province or a duchy. But I think you just trash one of those and it'll be fine. You're gonna make a million money, and then you can easily overcome whatever that points deficit is with farm. Oh, well, actually, farmlands can't gain duchies because duchy's empty. Is this actually awkward? This should be a win for Koji, but it is suddenly like a little non-trivial. This will still be a win, I think. 2 provinces get you back to 30 points, and you need like 4 farmlands and an estate. That does seem harder, but it still sounds doable to me. So farmland, 2 wayfarers into 2 provinces. Farmland, a copper into an estate. Buy 2 more farmlands. I assume they've got enough money for that. I would have left a copper in hand. I don't know why they're leaving silvers in hand. I guess just because it doesn't matter. If they had one less buy, they still could have done it, and that line would involve. You don't need to undo. You still have the win. This is still a win, Kojii. I mean, you can undo, but like you don't need to. Two more farmlands, trashing two more silvers would still be the win, unless I'm missing something. Yeah, you didn't need this many points, but this is how you would maximize the amount of points. All right, 3-3 final score. Good job, Fircoal, winning three and letting Japan win three, so they felt like they had a chance. Got to make the match seem close for the spectators. You know how it is. Big mistake not buying a free invasion there. Alrighty. Good games. That is match one
Peace,
of the
man.
finals. Razi is calling you biased. How do you respond to these allegations?
I don't care. I know I'm a biased. Everyone is biased. Everyone has
Everyone else is
ideology.
biased. I tried to be as neutral as possible to counteract that. Um, good job to Fear Cole. Nice try, Kojii. Better luck next time. See y'all in the next match.
Someone has said bias is like bad breath. Only the others got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.